Do it. All right. Do you want to go into your hot tip? I'm excited about this one.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So my hot tip, and let me just bring up my notes for this. I'm not going to show people. Is okay. So hot tip, and this is huge. I've spoken about in the mastermind I'm in, and I've taught this, ingrained this with my team as well. So in most areas of life, simplicity is where success comes from. If you want to be healthy, it's really two things: exercise and eat well. So exercise properly and eat well. With advertising, I realize there's only like three phases for success in advertising. Number one, actually, I'm going to keep talking about that before I tell you guys this, is after 10 years of doing this, I constantly like review the processes and I'm like, what makes the difference? Because it's not just what you do in the account, it's how you communicate to the client. And I see so many people wasting dozens of hours on something that like I can look at and be like, hey, why don't you just do that? And they're like, oh, and it's like, what's stopping people from seeing the things that need to be done? So what I do is this is three phase. Number one is like the basic fundamental level, which is the account or the campaign build slash setup. And that's when there's a lot of information online, like the checklist, the process, our way of doing it. You know, everyone's like the ultimate optimization checklist or the ultimate thing you need to do to build out the best PMAX campaign. So that's level one. That's like setting it up appropriately. It's just setting it up so you can actually get good data. Number two, which for us, Corey, this seems common sense, but it's just not common action because it's really about the simplicity is not about simplicity of knowing, it's the simplicity of doing. And number two is data analysis and insight. So basically, just looking at you've set up the account and just going, what happened? Like, why do we think it happened? And then just measuring it against internal, being at the company, or external industry benchmarks. So you go, what happened? Why do we think it happened? How's it going against benchmarks? And this data could be, there's so many data points. It could be your CTRs, your cost per clicks, your conversion rates, your impression shares. It could just be your search terms, like what percentage of them were relevant. And people are usually pretty bad or lazy at this. And what we were speaking about in the past as well is doing something like a gap analysis. So going through the whole account and the main metrics and going, how are we going against benchmarks, good or bad? But data analysis is so important to analyze the data. Then the next step is to give insights about it. Why do we think it happened? It's not just like conversion rate went from 2% to 10%. That's data analysis. What's the insight? Why did that happen? What caused that? Then the step three, which is two parts to it, it's called aligned recommendation and execution. Now, before I'll go into that, is most of the time people go, hey, I've built out the account this way. And then they just go, what's the ultimate list to optimize an account? And they're trying to bypass step two, which is the data analysis and insight. And once again, people are trying to do the recommendations or the execution without actually using data. They're just like, oh, what does Michael and Corey say to optimize a PMAX campaign? We don't know your data, so we can't give you just like recommendations. Like
Wait, wait,
it's
wait.
like,
Michael, T row is it target ROAS or target CPA? Do I use max conversions with no? What do I do?
I know, even as like, look, I still get caught into some of that ideas when I say it online, but the reality is that's why I say I call it aligned recommendation. It can't just be recommendation. It needs to be aligned with step two, which is the data analysis and insight. So basically, with that aligned recommendation execution is what do we do with the insights? Not what do we do? What do we do with the insights? We've got to make sure that it's aligned with step two. And then the next part of it is what do we do with the data from the differences in the benchmark? So if it's under benchmark, what are we going to do there? If it's over benchmark, how do we capitalize on it more or apply that to other areas? So this is what I was wanting to chat about a few weeks ago because we've been working on this framework I've been working on this framework for 10 years because this is what it is. Like advertising is setting it up in the best way possible. Number two is data analysis and insight level. Like next step is aligned recommendations execution. You can bring down hundreds of hours of work down to like 30 minutes by just doing this, setting up properly. Hey, what's the data doing against our benchmarks? Cool. What do we recommend based on that data? Rather than just going, hey, what do we do next? It's like, what do we do next based on the data? So anyway, mate, that is my hot tip. It's a bit of a rant as well, but it is a hot tip because if you can like get this deep into your mind, you will become one of the best advertisers in the world, because you're not just going, what's everyone else saying random shit. It's actually, what does the account data say and show, and what am I going to do with that, basically?
Yeah. And like you said, really important is don't skip steps. Don't just try to find the ultimate checklist and then you go through the checklist, but you don't actually analyze the data. You've got to analyze the data because a lot of the checklists are sort of like setting it up, or it's a script that outputs data. But then what are you going to do with the data? Right. So I have a lot of people that talk to me about this. Like, they're like, oh, you have all these scripts, but there's so much in there, I don't even know how to use it. And like, well, why did you even use the script in the first place if you don't know how to do that? Right. So,
but the script, as at the end of the day, it's more data output. It's not actually analyzing the data. It's a data output. Like, the analysis comes from the human mind and the insights. Like, the analysis is me looking through the data going, okay, cool, this, and this, and the insight is this. Whilst there are a lot of scripts that look at the data, and some of them have like ChatGPT prompts, the prompts are not going to be as powerful. Sorry, the outputs from those prompts are not going to be as powerful as someone who knows what they're doing. Because you can't like prompt in 10 years of experience into a ChatGPT prompt.
yeah.
Like, that's why expertise, at least for the short period, is like, there's more than just like numbers on a screen and a script. It's the expertise from the person behind the screen, because a lot of success comes from the business intelligence, not just the data intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And before we go, bonus tip. Speaking of GPTs and all these things, for all my scripters out there, people who like to write scripts and things, and they want to use GPT for coding, get into the pro version of ChatGPT and OpenAI. Sign up for the pro version. I think in the US is $20 a month. And use that new O1 preview and O1 mini. You will be shocked at how much better it is at coding than even the 4.0. So for all my coders out there, guys, get on the train and start utilizing it. I hit my data limit for it's a weekly data limit. I hit that cap like in day one. I was using it so much just to try it out. I even did some. I tried to do some bug fixes and for when I put it through 4.0, and it took 10 times, still couldn't fix the error. I put it through the O1 first try and improved the script dramatically. I was like, wow. This is my new main. Yeah.
I'm just in ChatGPT now, and I have it bookmarked on in my bookmark bar with ChatGPT 4.0, whatever it is.
That's the
and now it's like O1 preview and then O1 mini.
Yep.
Interesting.
Try it out, guys. I'm really loving it so far because it takes time to think. It's what I was alluding to it like a couple episodes ago, and it's here. So really
which one do you prefer more, the O1 or the mini?
The O1, well, it's O1 preview or O1 mini right now. O1 preview is kind of like the full-on one. They, through their documentation, say mini is a good option for coding and pseudocode and stuff like that. I really find that both are doing really well with code regardless. So I just used up the preview, and now I'm using the mini because I can't use the preview anymore. They cut me off. I was like, I will upgrade to enterprise, whatever it takes.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. I hadn't seen that. I once again, I only use ChatGPT basically for writing out formulas on Google Sheets. So like when I'm doing advanced dashboarding, I'm like, I know the logic, but then I'm typing it out, what I know, and then the logic, and I'm almost like, fix this, and then it'll just fix it for me.
There you go. It's perfect. No, it's perfect for that. Yeah.
Excellent.